Carlito.
Dun, dun, dun.
Another episode of The Construction Life, and we have another lovely guest. And we're going to be talking about concrete today with George.
Wait. Residential concrete.
Oh, sorry. Residential concrete.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
There's a huge difference with George from DGR Concrete Forming.
That's me.
So, George, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I know that everybody's got these busy lives.
Are we forgetting something?
I don't know. You got to ask George a question.
I thought you were going to have a song for us.
No, man, there's no way I'm singing. Not a hope in hell. Maybe next time.
Nobody's going to. Okay, I'll do something with you.
You sing.
No,
you sing.
I'll make you a deal. The next time I'm on, I'll sing.
Okay, so nobody
making
can
that
see
promise.
this, but when I finish this phrase, you just stare at me with one eye. Okay, ready? Dun, dun, dun.
Everybody heard it. George is going to do it next time.
All right, I'll do it next time.
George, tell us a little bit about yourself and a lot about DGR, and we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of concrete, resi concrete, and we want to know a lot about you guys.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's begin with, I guess, me. I've been in the business since I was, I'm going to say like 8, literally, because like most of us.
Wait, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 52.
Oh! We finally have someone that's older than us.
That's right. It's official.
I can't believe it.
52.
I'm usually the oldest guy.
You don't look 52. You look younger than us, man.
No, man.
I don't feel special anymore.
No, I'm 52. I know. Well, like most guys in the trades, right?
Great tan, by the way.
Thank you. I spend lots of time at the cottage. Like most guys who get into the trades, how did we end up here? Usually, it's because we've seen our uncle, the neighbor next door, our fathers, moms, whatever, doing stuff, and we tend to sort of be,
or for
going
me,
that direction.
I watch people make money, extra money, get by more, and I wanted to get into construction.
What are you talking about?
I know. Well, I mean, really, at the end of the day, why did I leave my bank job when I was 18? And I decided.
Oh, so you went that route. You went school, went to a bank, a good clean job.
I did the bank thing sort of, as it was a great high school job. Like when I was just in school, you could work evening, over at Canada Trust, that type of thing. I worked Royal Bank in the summer full time. It was a pretty decent gig. I was making good money at the time. But I started doing all kinds of stuff on the side. I used to work with my dads on weekends when he needed a little bit of help. It was fantastic. But I was always sort of drawn towards construction. So I spent the majority of my career, went off to college, that type of thing, but then eventually said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to build. Got into, not concrete, I got into renovation and building. Most of my career, pretty much the bulk of it, was entirely renovation and construction.
So just custom rentals and...
Yeah, building, that type of thing.
Did you get
that's
into
what I did.
Condos, or you went into just strictly...
No, strictly residential, because I did do some commercial work as well. Did a fair amount of commercial work, but it was boring, man. Fuck, was it boring.
He likes it. He likes
I like it because I
studs
crank the tunes and there's no one complaining.
I'm with George.
Man,
I find it
I lost
fucking
my
boring.
mind. It was just a transaction. It's like, oh, what's the budget to do this? X. When does it need to be done? Oh, tomorrow? Okay. And it was a transaction. And I've always really, really enjoyed the creative piece, the connection with the clients. Commercially, all my favorite clients were always the ones that I literally became like really good friends with. And I still can count many of them to this day as really close friends. And they were all, property managers, that type of thing, facilities managers. And I really enjoyed that piece for a period of time, but only for those folks that I had a really tight relationship with. Being out there kind of in the commercial world, I was just bored out of my skull. It's just like, the money was great, bored.
But it was just boring.
So what drew you to concrete?
I retired. I retired from doing construction. It was like, I'm kind of done. I'm going to go check out for a little while and just spend a bunch of time at the cottage and goof off with my wife. So how long was that? Going back to, I started phasing it out slowly around 2012, 2013, and then started making my way kind of out. And then the guys who did my concrete for years and years, this is how this ended up happening. As I'm starting to slack off in chatting with them and stuff, Rob and Ryan, they'd been doing concrete. And of course, when you work with someone, a trade, let's say, you can see all the holes in their business. Not
outside
returning,
the fence, yeah.
Yeah, not returning calls, or maybe the guys aren't as respectful they should be, whatever trade it is. You could pick out, as a business owner, when you look at a crew that comes onto your site, or a company that comes onto your site, you can see where they could do better. Some guys, you can talk to them and they'll be like, oh man, thank you for telling me.
They'll set aside the ego and they'll go,
they'll
thank
set
you.
aside the ego and they'll understand it's like, this person's trying to help me. This person's not.
And they're willing to change.
Right. That's the big one. Most people, even when they know it, don't even want to change. True with just people in general. Basically, in a nutshell, it's like I could see the things in that business and the growth opportunity in the concrete business for these guys. What they just needed was someone who could give them some guidance.
And you have a lot of love for this industry.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't doing it for the money. Still to this day, DGR
See?
Concrete for me is not something that I do for the money.
That's what makes the difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I think if you go out and all you do is grind for that transaction in the dough,
You're miserable.
It's soulless.
Yeah.
It's lifeless.
You're
So
punching
true.
a clock and you don't care.
It's misery,
Soulless,
right?
you're so right.
And that's the thing. I mean, I've been saying this to millennials and everybody that will listen. And millennials, sadly, very often, I hate to say it, don't. But for those that do,
We've said that.
yeah, well, yeah,
I've said that.
Those that do and understand that it's like the whole point of this, man, is don't be doing this because your parents told you that you should. Don't be doing it because it's like right
Don't be doing
now.
it. Anybody told you that you should,
Right.
right?
100%. You got to do it because you want to do it.
Well, let's face it. Most people in construction, it's the last avenue. You know, unless you want to work.
I'm tired of
unless you
hearing
want to
that.
work at a coffee
Yeah,
store,
well,
or
I mean,
Home Depot or something.
I mean,
you
it
know.
wasn't for me. I mean,
It
wasn't
isn't for a lot of people.
And I don't think it is for a lot of people. I think what it is that some people are just kind of geared that way. Some guys, some guys and gals just like, what am I going to do? Well, where can I make the most amount of money? Oh, hey, man, Mike over here that I know, he goes to work as a laborer and he makes $24 an hour.
They crunch the numbers.
And they're looking at it going, well, I've got this job and I got this name tag on my chest. I worked at this shitty retail job making, fuck all. This sounds pretty good. That's $10 extra an hour I can go
Yeah,
make, right?
yeah.
And then the opportunity to make more. I'm not stuck in retail. So they default out. The problem is if they're doing it for the money, now some of them get there and go, I actually enjoy this. I like getting up at ass o'clock in the morning. I like going and building something, doing something, being part of something. So at the end of the day, I can go, I did this. I can look at it. Even if the day was a grind, it was raining, it was cold, it was miserable. If you can at least at the end of the day or the week or the month, look at what you did and go, that's going to be there for a
Feel
long
like
time.
you accomplished something.
You feel like you accomplished something.
That's an amazing feeling.
Can
It's
I
an
ask
amazing
something?
feeling, yeah.
Your family farmers or anything?
No.
No. I just find
Well, actually, no, I take that back. Going back to Portugal, both my parents are Portuguese.
another.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was not going to
pork
say
chop.
anything. Okay.
my parents, on my mom's side, own land, farmers, that type of thing. Hardworking people. But I mean, back in the day, every immigrant that showed up here was a hardworking person.
That's
Are
exactly
you kidding
how it
me?
was, I know.
I mean, you fell off the plane.
I like
and
how you said that
You got
back
the
in the
beat
day.
down. You got the beat down.
Yeah.
If my mother was sitting across this table right now and you made reference to her about how hard it was, she'd tell you, and then she would say, oh, and all the rest of the people who show up here today, we didn't have anything that they have.
Yeah.
There were people eating out of garbage cans.
Yeah,
Like that's a
I know.
fact. People
I
were
know.
behind restaurants eating out of garbage to stay alive. It doesn't mean that it's right, but the point is people had to work for it.
No,
They survived.
The only
They
reason I was
survived.
asking that is because you have this really refreshing, positive vibe. I usually find it's hardworking people or coming from a background of hardworking people. That's
Yeah.
why I asked.
Was it a challenge, George, to kind of come into DGR or get into Rob and Ryan? And by the way, maybe if you guys did this and this and this, were they embracive with that? Were they...
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The challenge, and I say this all the time, it's nonstop. It's something that you have to just continue doing. I mean, my role within the company is I'm the CEO of the company and also COO, Chief Operations Officer of the company. And I'm someone who makes a point of actually trying not to be there a lot, almost on purpose. And the reason for that is I'm trying to groom some of the people within the business to make their way, and be
Make
able
their
to...
own corporate decisions.
Right, exactly. You have to empower people. If you don't
Yeah.
empower people, if you have to be there from like 5 a.m. until 9 o'clock at
Your
night,
phone's going to be ringing all day.
your phone's ringing all day and you're doing something wrong.
You're
The
not
whole-
building a business.
No, you're
right.
not building a business. All you're doing is pointing and screaming at people because you want things done a certain way in a certain timeline instead of empowering them to make the decisions and get it done on their own,
right.
which gives them fulfillment in what they do every day.
And experience.
And experience, you're not going to have the turnover in your staff, etc. For us, I say all the time in our company, every day we just got to fix one thing. Every day we just have to fix one thing. At the end of the year,
How many things have you fixed?
that's a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
if we sat down right now on a whiteboard, to my left is a whiteboard, and we just started writing down all the things you want to fix within our business, man, you'd be hard pressed to come up with 300 things. You really would.
Not me.
Sit here for 3-4 hours and try to
Yeah.
write down
Yeah.
300 individual things that you
But
want to correct, right?
Every
30
day.
seconds.
But every day, though, something will happen and you'll have something and then someone contribute.
You just need to, if you've got something that's going sideways, right? Detect what's going sideways and then correct. Detect and correct. It's pretty simple. Then do everything you can to not repeat it.
That's how you learn. That's how you
learn.
build.
I remember in grade school, right? Oh, man, you did like an essay. You had to write some story in grade 3 or something, or grade 4. And then the next day you got it back with all the red, oh, man, I
thought it was perfect.
I thought it was this there, not that there. Isn't this the right there?
You're wrong.
Exactly. So, but guess what? You got it back, and the teacher would go over everything. The whole thing all the way through, so you could correct your mistakes. Well, as adults, we still need to do that. A lot of people don't.
We should be doing that. As building a business, we should be doing that. You shouldn't be stuck in doing it the same way that you were doing it 10 years ago.
It's the definition of insanity. Keep repeating the same shit show. Why am I not making money? Because you're probably doing the same fucking 500 things wrong every day.
That's how you change, is not doing the same thing.
That's the number one thing I noticed about George and his
It's
crew.
huge.
When I first met you guys, that you talk about looking out from the outside and looking in.
Yeah.
You guys you're a big teacher that is looking at the team as working as a collective.
Yes.
And there are no egos. There's no egos whatsoever on any of these guys that belong to DGR. They all want to learn. They all want to work together. They all want to build something. So
That's a team.
that's a team. So then you don't have to be there all the time. You could be up at the cottage getting a tan, but you're still running a business, but you're educating, you're teaching other guys. So then the next guy can come up. And
But it also sounds like his crew or his team care about each other and are very
Oh yeah,
set for the company to grow.
Our core management team, everyone may as well be related. Like it's almost like we're all family.
They're all Portuguese?
No.
Any Croatians there?
Let me think about it. Any Croatians there?
Uh-oh, that means no.
No.
You would remember.
You would know.
You would remember.
Yeah, but it's look, every single day with our business, we took what was a company that was sort of still everybody's working really hard, producing some quality product, but couldn't scale up.
What is producing a quality product in concrete?
In concrete, depends on what you're putting up. Are you doing a foundation wall, or are you doing, flat concrete? Are you doing architectural concrete? Are you doing a set of stairs? Like, there's different facets of it that you need to be focused on. The bottom line, let's just call it quality concrete work. The boys were pumping out quality concrete work, but they were struggling with simple things like some of it was just like wrong tools, wrong equipment, wrong trucks. I mean, we got rid of pickup trucks, and some of the Sprinter vans came out.
Oh, that's blasphemy here, George. Oh my God, you can't get rid of a pickup truck.
So you're saying a van changed your industry?
In 2005, I was driving an F350 crew cab, diesel crew cab.
Nice truck.
Fully loaded. It was my primary vehicle, a nice, beautiful diesel. And then I went and got myself a 2005 Sprinter van. And there it was. And I was just like, okay.
Sprinter van.
I know. You can make fun of them all you want.
Sprinter van.
Make fun of them all you want.
They are the best.
Hang on a second.
So
I believe any van in general, but you're definitely changing the ball game. You've got high ceilings. It's
George,
long.
totally.
he's saying that because he drives
A Chevy.
Savannah or whatever it is, or is it an Astro? Is it an Astro?
Express.
Listen, it boils down to this. What type of a hammer are you going to use to install your trim? If you're a trim carpenter, there is a specific hammer you use. If you're actually using a hammer, an old school guy, you hand him the wrong hammer, he'll look at you like, what the fuck is this?
My job and my life changed buying a van too. I went from a van to a truck, tried it for a little while to try to be cool with the cool hip kids, and I realized it was a waste of time and money.
This is a huge one, and it depends on what you do. But
I was into bullshit.
If you've got tools you're hauling around, guys you're hauling around, stuff that is coming in and out of the truck, if you're worried about theft, we live in fucking Canada, man. It rains and snows, and we get everything.
I get broken into twice a year.
There you go. The bottom line is, if your shit's out of sight, think about the amount of money you save not having to load, unload.
Totally true.
Think about the amount of time that gets saved. It's like, okay, where's the fucking
Well, trailers are smart.
Do you
too.
want to crawl into the back of your pickup truck and cab, or do you want to walk into the back of your van?
Totally.
I barely drive my pickup truck anymore, and I crawl through my van every day.
But with a van, you can send the new guy in there, and the shelving is all organized, and everything's all there, and you can send him in there, and he could actually find something on
and
his
it's dry.
own.
You can stand. You can stay warm.
And if you want to know if the new guy is worth keeping or not, make sure the van is perfectly cleaned out and set up perfect. Make him responsible for that van on the crew.
That's another thing.
And just tell him, every Friday, we're going to have a little audit to see what kind of shape it's in. If it's a shit show every Friday, fire his ass immediately.
Wow.
Because if you can't keep the van straight, he's useless.
How's he going to be on the job site then?
Right. He needs to know where all the shit goes. He needs to be the guy to put all the stuff away. He's got to be the guy to go, hey man, we're out of blades for whatever. The cut's off, the cord broke. We got to get a new saw. If the guy can't do that, then he's not capable of organizing himself.
That's what you should first start anyways, right? You should be able to start, like the 101 is knowing where the tools are, getting the tools for the guys, charging the batteries, getting the materials, making sure that the materials
Before
are
anybody
there.
asks you a fucking thing. Before anybody can actually say, hey, he should be listening as soon as he hears the drill or the impact drill, let's say. It's like,
unless you're in Lotto Land looking at something else.
Well, that's the difference between two types of people. You can either get a person who's going to look at the van and go, well, this is not really that important of an issue. Doesn't matter if it's not organized. Or you can look at it and go, you know what, this is an extremely important issue and this should be organized.
And as an owner of a company or as the manager of that crew or the guy who's leading that crew, you have to teach that guy that. If they don't know what your expectations are, then you can't really fire their ass after a week because you didn't tell them what the expectations were.
Yeah.
But if you establish what the standards are and they don't meet it, okay, maybe you're going to cut the guy some slack right away. Somebody should be nudging at him on Wednesday and then again on Thursday. Friday, see if he's clueless or not, or she, I should say as well. And then reassess maybe the following week. But the bottom line is it's very telling.
Well, a make or break to a company for me is keeping an employee. So how many employees do you have?
I was just about to ask how many crews you got.
Well, our crews spin all over the place. So overall, we're probably, I'm not even sure how many we're probably at right now. We're probably at about 20 guys right now.
Wow.
About that, 18, 20.
Is it running
changes,
efficiently
right?
at 20 people?
Yes,
Okay.
and that scale is super important. That was one of the challenges that, for example, Robin.
You've designed it that way, though.
Well, yes and no. Like right now, we're still actually under capacity. We have a lot more capacity. We could grow much more as a company. Guess what's holding us back? It's the number one biggest problem faces business today. Number one, period.
Wow.
Doesn't matter what business you're in.
People coming to work?
People. You're in the plumbing business. You're in the roofing business. You sell shingles. Well, guess what? If the demand for the work far outstrips the supply of people who can do it, and you're in the business of selling shingles, you're not selling as many shingles as you could be selling.
There's going to be a cap.
Lengths of pipe, meters of concrete, doesn't matter what it is. We literally cannot keep up with the demand. We could probably increase with conservatively an extra $1 million like nothing just by chasing a little bit of extra work, another $1 million, $2 million, $5 million worth. What's missing? People. It's the folks that have the experience that can do what we do. Even trying to train them is a problem, and everyone screams and yells about this. Carpentry, plumbers, they can't find people. They can't find qualified people.
You can find people.
We talk about this all the time. It's just construction to most people is not glamorous enough.
Yeah,
that's what they think, right? So
Wrong
I want
attitude.
to ask you two questions. Okay, have you guys hired a female before? Have you found a female that wants to get into concrete?
I think we had one woman show up, a girl show up, wanted to apply, and did apply. We interviewed her. I was like, hey, there's a girl applying. This is cool. Bring her in. Let's see what she can do. So we brought her in. I wasn't there for the interview. It was actually Mike in our office, our controller that did the initial interview. And he was like, oh, this girl weighs like 135 pounds. I'm going to take her out to the yard, and I'm going to see if she can just lift some of the things that we need to lift, some pretty basic stuff. She couldn't do it.
Rebar.
Yeah, she couldn't do it. It was one of those things. And we were looking people for in the field at the time. No, we don't really need and really have much in the way of office staff, the way we run our business. We outsource a lot of stuff. That was the only, woman that we had sort of apply. But it was, I don't know if she just didn't realize what it was or how heavy the work was, because when you're working in concrete forming,
there's some heavy lifting.
I do concrete forming all the time.
I can tell you, guy who was in trades for a long time and worked with his hands and I still love doing it, would have killed me. Concrete forming, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Just my body
it's hard
type and
work.
stuff. Yeah, man, it's brutal work.
What's the weight of a full wheelbarrow?
Heavy?
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's on one wheel.
But that's
different.
a one person pushing.
But we don't do a lot of wheelbarrowing, right? We pump a lot of concrete. We pump everything. But the forms, for example, you're talking like 100 pounds plus
each board
for a form.
I know.
Let's talk a little bit about your business then. We're kind of talking about the employees and importance. Yep. What does your company actually do? What do you focus on with concrete and homes?
A bit of everything and not. I mean, one of the we do a lot of specialized underpinning work. It comes to underpinning, really wacky stuff, super deep.
Bench walls.
Thing. Yeah, benching, although we try to avoid benching just because we don't like benching. It takes up space. But we can do anything. We always try to push people in the direction of, hey, you should probably think about underpinning this. Now, some places we've done can be huge, or sometimes you have an issue. Manny, we had one at your site with a neighbor next door that was just ridiculous, which made it impossible.
But
to
most
do
of them are
stupid.
Yeah,
Stupid.
They forget that they need renovations at some point, or their house needed it, and they
Totally.
don't want to cooperate.
There was a
Totally.
certain satisfaction there, having the neighbor get right into my face and tell me, "You are never going to fucking underpin my fucking property, never." And I want you to hear that from you. I want you to say that to me. And I just looked at her and I just said, "I will never say that." And then we had this other version of underpinning approved.
Yeah.
And it was a big fuck you to her, and I was really happy about that because you guys pulled it off like perfectly.
You just get, we all know this, you can't be in this business on a residential and a commercial level, because you can put up a condo building, and the condo building directly across, people will be losing their minds calling bylaw over everything.
Yeah.
They see a coffee cup make its way off a balcony on the 4th floor and go down to the street, and they're already calling bylaw. You get people that are like that.
But we were just told recently that guys are, when they're pouring in the middle of the night, you got condo owners on their balconies throwing fucking clay pots at the contractors.
I know.
Some angry people in the city.
Yeah. And that person should be arrested.
Yes.
Well,
Somebody does that, they should just be arrested.
And this comes
story.
down to it. I talk about it all the time. People don't have respect for construction workers.
Yeah.
They don't understand that we have to work in tight spaces, no parking. People screaming and yelling at us doesn't make the job go faster.
Oh, it makes it exponentially worse, right?
Yeah.
They somehow think things are going to be easier, quicker. We've seen some things that are insane. What's fortunate for us is that we're usually in and out. Like a big project for us, because our primary focus is custom homes, really deep basements, wacky stuff, blindside forming, all that type of stuff. We're very comfortable doing and
ICF?
very experienced. ICF we're getting into next year, actually.
Okay.
Funny you should bring that up. Because we actually do feel that that's the way the industry is going to be going. The type of forming that we're doing, it'll still have its place for a while, probably maybe a decade or two. But the reality of it is, as soon as building code changes, and it will, they'll eventually require all the insulation to be on the outside of the building.
Well, how it should be.
Right,
Yeah.
the way it should be,
Yeah.
right?
Envelope wrap from the outside.
And as soon as that happens, boom, ICF is
here's-
buy shares in all the companies. is all I have to say.
Here's a plug.
Yeah.
Integra Spec. Check it out. They actually have an ICF form that you can pour a floor in.
Oh, really?
Check it out. Only ones that have it.
They have a floor form?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in another show. But
Okay. But ICF is something that for us, we send a bunch of guys out on training last year, because normally when we, move quickly and do stuff, boom, beep, but at the same time, we want to be prepared for
underpinning
it.
isn't fast at all, though.
The way we do underpinning, we're actually pretty fast
It's
at it.
scheduled.
Yeah.
It's on time.
We don't do, for those listening know the difference. When you're doing underpinning, you can do something called overpour, which is basically you dig out an underpin, you form it, and you just pour the concrete in and you vibrate it and hope to God that the concrete that went up underneath it, you can't see it where the footing was or still is, that you vibrated it up and it actually took care of any gaps. I can tell you flat out, because we've done lots of waterproofing from the outside,
Never
the holes
works.
are massive. Like you can stuff baseballs in there and stuff.
that's
I
where
don't
the
care what
water
anybody
builds,
says.
freezes, cracks.
All that crap. If it's above frost line for sure. For us, we focus on always doing dry pack. So we pour our pins, each block section, leave 2 to 3 inches, and then we mechanically pack the grout. After that block of concrete, that underpin is shrunk, we then dry pack grout all the way to the back, mechanically pack everything through. We know it's solid, period. End of story.
I always thought
Nothing's going
it
anywhere.
was 1 inch because back in the day I did some underpinning.
He does
No.
it too. I don't want to divulge how you guys did it and how you guys perfected it, because it's pure fucking art and you should see it one day. It's something that they came up with, and it's just beautiful. It's actually a work of fucking
this
art.
is a trade secret.
And it should be at the Louvre. This is fucking amazing.
Well, most guys don't realize that when you're mixing grout, you're not supposed to mix it in a wheelbarrow. Let's just start with that. Grout is supposed to be mixed with the special mixer. Nobody ever
Just
does
like
that.
self-leveler.
Nobody knows that.
Yeah.
Right? Most guys don't even read the bag. They just fake it. That looks about right. Let's
I
just
tell
throw
the
that
guys
in
all
there.
the time, first thing, I don't care how many times you use it, read the bag.
We've come up with, we're constantly grinding to try to find better ways to do stuff. We're not perfect, but again.
But it's that evolving learning experience.
Nonstop, detect and correct when something's not working right, or if you figure out some way to do a little bit better. At the end of the day, every single time you find a little sliver, that's profit. You don't have to charge the client less money. Matter of fact, you're usually doing it done quicker. It's going to take you to the top of the heap in terms of whatever trade you're in.
Well, that's how you make
People
money.
pay you more.
You make more money by figuring out how to perfect the way you do it, but you're still charging the same amount to the client,
right?
But you're making more profit.
So back to the Sprinter van for everybody listening. For everybody who's still listening, going, no fucking way, man! I'm never giving up my pickup truck. You know what? Leave your pickup truck to go to church, or go hunting or whatever.
Just have both.
Have both. I did for a while. I never drove my pickup. My wife would make fun of
You're
me.
always in the van.
Then I sold my pickup.
I drive mine just in the weekend.
Yeah, then I had a nice car. It never left the garage. Now, since about 2006 or so, 2007, my primary vehicle is a four-wheel drive, 3/4 ton, long wheelbase, high roof, crew cab Sprinter.
Man, it's funny you say that.
How many
That's what I
kilometers are you
drive.
throwing on that vehicle a year?
40,000.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, is that you spend so much time in that vehicle, you might as well spend it on a good work vehicle that does its job.
So it's funny you say that. I sold my Mustang and my BMW and bought a tractor. I drive my van all the time.
Yeah, no, I love my van. And the whole thing about the van, why I came back to it, was that finding those slivers of efficiency. If you're not loading, unloading a truck, if you're not paying guys to do that, how much more efficient is that?
Well, start a
just
job.
that
Don't
alone.
leave the job site.
Yeah, that alone. Oh, where's the caulking gun? Where's the this? Where's the that? Is it? Well, if it's either on the job site or it's in the truck.
Yeah.
One of the two. It's not supposed to go anywhere. If it's not in the van, well, we lost it. Someone stole it. Someone left it behind somewhere. But in the morning, you're supposed to be already locked and loaded. You got your coffee in your hand. The crew jumps into the truck and you go. You can't be thinking, what do we need for this morning? Fuck, everybody's half asleep.
No, you want them to be thinking about the job at hand, the task, the client, the job site. You don't want them to be thinking, are the tools right? Is everything in the right place?
And everybody forgets shit. People are half asleep. It's always, it's a shit show that way.
Exactly.
Everything should be, vehicles should be fueled. There's no fueling vehicles in the morning. There's no picking up material in the morning. What the fuck are you doing?
So you get the guys to
That's how you
fuel up
lose
before,
money.
like at the end of the day for the next day?
Tuesdays and Thursdays, everything's fueled.
Oh, fucking look at that, eh? It's a well-oiled machine.
Do you know why there's fueled on Thursdays and not Fridays?
Payday?
Because of the weekend.
No, because we have fuel in our yard, right? So,
Really?
Yeah. So everybody fuels up in our yard. Crew trucks come in Tuesdays. They fuel up. Oh shit! We just ran the tank dry, right? Because it's a massive tank. You don't necessarily know how much fuel's in it. You know when it goes brrr and doesn't give you anything. That gives us enough time to get fuel. Thursday's the same thing. If we know we're out of fuel on a Thursday, the guys still, no matter what, have enough fuel in their tank from filling up on Tuesday to get through the week. We're guaranteed to have fuel on the Friday or the Monday. So that way, we're never
above and beyond, man.
We're never. But it's simple stuff.
You're
It's
not
like, hey,
wasting time on the business
Exactly.
with these little things that consume so much time.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much fuel is in the tank. You could be working just down the street. You fill up on Tuesdays, you fill up on Thursdays. Everybody, when they jump out of the truck, we have got a bin, a dumpster in our yard. Grab all your fucking coffee cups and whatever is in the truck. Just quickly clean the truck out. One guy throws all that shit away. Another guy fuels up. Maybe there's some loading, unloading, and you're done. And I make it sound like, it doesn't always work out that way. There are times guys forget to fuel up or can't be bothered or something. So someone has to be on top of them all the time. If you can get it to be a habit, that's where it saves you big dough. You're not wasting time. It's all in the efficiency, man.
I love it. I love it.
Do you do concrete slabs for the basements, obviously?
Yeah, we do floors, the whole bit. Now we've shifted a little bit away from that for the last little while, but we've got two other companies that do it for us. When we can't do it, we do it for them. When they can't do it,
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Do you usually insulate your floor?
When it's required.
Only when it's required?
When it's spec, right?
If it's spec.
It's not really your call, though. It's generally the homeowner or the architect.
Here's the bottom line when it comes to what's specified on the drawing. We're handed a set of specifications and details, and everybody here who works from a set of specifications and details better pay attention to this shit. If someone says to you and you get a detail that says, blah, 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 14 nails in a row, 3 inches apart, and then cut a V at the end of it, 4 inches from the end. You cut that fucking V half an inch one way or the other, and you miss one fucking nail, something goes sideways on that project that has nothing to do with that, and you're screwed.
That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. You're going to get sucked into the legal abyss, all the litigation chaos. You're fucked.
Do you ever mention that you could better your home project to the owner or to the GC if you see that something's missing, like, maybe you should put 4 inches of styrofoam or a little bit more gravel bed.
Yeah, but we leave it. But then as soon as the specification changes, we get it in writing.
Okay, so an ideal home for you to build, what would the gravel slab be? How thick?
How thick would the concrete be?
No, the gravel, like the first.
The gravel base?
4 to 6 inches
4 to
minimum.
6 inches.
But if the place is like buried underwater, if there's water coming out of everywhere, then you're running weeping towel everywhere. Like you're doing stuff to mitigate that water that is coming in because of the water table is high, which happens. I mean, you get in some places and it's like literally water is pouring out of everywhere. And the whole thing could be perfectly waterproofed on the outside, but it's coming from underneath.
Do you ever use Neo blankets or styrofoam in floors to insulate, break a thermal break?
99% of the stuff that we do, everyone's putting it in now.
Okay.
It's almost a given. It's an
I don't
automatic.
I don't see it a lot.
Radiant in-floor heating, at least for the projects that we're doing, probably because they're higher end. Radiant in-floor heating is almost the must. I mean, radiant in-floor heating in a basement is like the best thing ever.
It makes so much. I think clients now are savvy. They understand the benefits from it.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're pouring a Gilia over top, self-leveler?
No, you don't need to
We've
at that point.
actually, you don't need to. But a lot of it simply depends on what's the final floor finish. Like, what's the final floor finish going to be? Are we doing polished concrete here? Is this just like, does it need to be
Subfloor.
blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
There's like a million things, and that, depending on what the final thing needs to look like is depending on what we're going to do.
So for a homeowner, and they're listening to you, how thick should the concrete slab be in the basement?
If it's radiant in-floor heating, in my opinion, as thick as you can goddamn well make it.
6 inches?
If you can make it 15, do 15. And everybody's
Okay.
thinking, what
But
the fuck? Is this
typically
guy
you
on
don't have
crack?
that room
Well,
unless
no,
you're building brand new.
But that's the rule of the radiant, right? We all know how that works.
Thermal mass.
Thermal mass,
Right? Your
yeah.
concrete floor is a battery.
It'll
right?
hold and retain it.
It holds and retains the heat, and then just slowly,
Dissipates.
It just slowly dissipates. So the more
It's like
concrete,
styrofoam.
Yeah,
But
the more thermal mass, the better.
That being said, it also does that with the cold. If you don't have the radiant, it's going to be a thermal mass of coldness coming through your house.
Great point. Now you don't have radiant and you just have a slab. How thick should that slab be in a basement without radiant?
Minimum 4.
Minimum 4.
Yeah, minimum 4 inches. But again, it depends on what's happening on that floor. I mean, it's interesting that you go to most of the new homes, and when I used to renovate and do basements, I did like 1 million basements in Oakville, Mississauga, all over the place over the years in what were, subdivision homes. And of course, bathrooms are going in. Do you know how many times we found concrete that was like 2 inches thick, inch and a
see it all
half?
the time.
The only thing good about that is
Just
that
insane.
You
Well-
you don't need an SDS jackhammer to
No.
break it. You just need
No.
a rubber mallet.
Pretty much. But it always blew me away. It's just sort of like, I don't understand. Where are the building inspectors? Why the fuck is this concrete floor this thick? That makes no sense
They're
to
not
me.
going to test it, and also I guess the builders are looking at it like we just saved 1 or 2 truckloads of concrete.
Now,
The builders, that's how they make all their money, right? Everywhere they can slice and cut, because the builders try to get their cheapest price, of course. Everything's per square foot, linear foot, piecework kind of thing almost. The trades, they're giving prices that are just insanely low.
They do the same.
And they're doing the same. They're going in going, hey man, everywhere we can cut a corner, there's no way we can make any money unless we actually, if we can find a place to save a couple of trucks here and there, we're going to do it. And they do.
what kind of concrete do you use in basements?
Like, what do you mean by kind?
Typically, the basements that I would renovate, it's being covered with a subfloor or an engineered flooring of some kind.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
I can
it's-
just use a Gilia straight.
Like 18 type, the typical type of thing would be like a 15 or 20 MPa. It really depends, again, on what's specified. Whatever the drawings say,
I just don't see anyone
Is what we
polishing
put in.
basement floors anymore. It's
They
only
don't
garages
because
that I
they
see.
want to cover them up.
well, we've done a bunch in the last little while, which again, more so modern homes and stuff, and it's actually a way to save money. The floor gets put down, and we have to go through a lot of extra time and effort to get it so it's like, it's not like Cagilia where it just like self levels.
And even then, it doesn't totally.
Yeah, it doesn't
It
want
needs
100%.
It needs an assist.
This is like a whole lot of assisting to take what we pump into it and make that like just super flat. And often it's going into the bathroom, and then it's being it's the floor drain encompassed all into one. And then what we're doing is when the guys are finishing it, when it gets down to the end, to the final, whip that helicopter out or the power trowel up on top of the concrete, that's when the guys are giving it its final and they can bring it all the way up. So it starts to bring, it actually will bring like a
Swells it
sheen
up,
almost up on top of it. But it's a very tricky thing to do because if you go a little too far, you can burn it. So you need a guy who's really, really good with the power trowel and somebody who's very, very good doing the outside edges to do it. You can make it so you end up with a finished floor that way. It does take guys with really, really good hands and good eyes.
I do have a personal question. Most of the time, we've always had like tint tests around the outsides, or we've had like the blanket involved, or styrofoam, because we would kind of like take the styrofoam from the floor straight up the walls. Do you believe that there should be a space between the walls and the concrete slab?
Yeah, totally.
And what is that?
Thermal break, there should always be a thermal break there.
1 inch, 5/8, what?
Makes no difference. A thermal break.
Of anything.
In theory,
Tin anything.
Yeah. In theory, if it's styrofoam and it's thicker, you still get cold that's trying to get through, right? Again, a thermal break's a thermal break. You put something in between to just break the cold from just.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people realize that concrete slabs expand and contract.
Yeah, big time.
Are you testing George? Is that
No.
what's going on?
This is I'm picking your brain because this is what you do all day. But this is information for the people at home.
Oh, I know.
The more ammunition for them, the better their business, the better their life, the better the product, right?
Yeah, I mean,
we're here to change the industry, right?
For folks that are building, what it boils down to is ask questions, pay as little attention as possible to HGTV. Sorry, HGTV. Let's
Hey,
talk.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I said it.
I did not say
said
that.
it. Every time I see a commercial for it, I just look at what's going on and go, man, where is this going?
But wait a minute, they know what they're doing and they do all the fucking work.
Do you ever do sand beds or sand pack?
Sorry, what's that?
You do with sand beds in the basements, like old basements, and they don't want to convince you to tear out the...
No, you're talking about dry pack, right?
Yeah.
No. I mean, the type of thing, for example, a sand Portland cement mix you'd use, for example, in an old school shower.
Right, sand and
that
Portland.
type of idea.
Yeah. You never do that?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't. We pour
Would you
like
want to do that in a
Yeah,
whole,
I do it
a
all the
whole
time
basement?
because, so say, for example, I go downtown Toronto, the people don't have the budget to actually bust the floor open, and we really don't have to move much plumbing. Instead of having to put self-leveler in there and waste that time and money, I just dry pack it. And then I have a nice, fresh, flat surface. And there is a break of sand beds. They don't actually really conduct much. So you find that the floors are a little bit more room temperature, right?
Yeah.
And then I can lay tile on their flooring, whatever else.
Yeah, they're not very dense. The only time I found whenever we would do that kind of thing back in the day was ensuring that there was just something that was mechanically attaching the old concrete to the new concrete. Putting in something, whether it be drilling in, even if it's not even rebar, even just concrete nails, just something to keep the two from separating
two
apart.
together.
Because if you're not careful, the concrete and the dry pack moves at a different rate, and you can end up with cracks in your tile and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with kind of what's underneath.
What's your perfect number size for rebar in the basement floor? Not just mesh sheets.
There isn't one. Typically, there is no rebar in the basement floor. If it's usually it's wire mesh, or again, there's like
just to hold
everything
together.
is changing. I mean, you can literally pump fiberglass. You ever seen those little fiberglass fibers type of thing? The metal ones. You can do that. Pump it in the truck. You're not even anything on the floor.
It's done.
Yeah.
So again, this all boils down to whatever the spec is.
The fiberglass you just got to burn down.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it just boils down to what is specified on the drawing. End of story. And if it's not specified on the drawings, then you should be having a conversation with your engineer.
So your company's at a different level.
Manager.
You're basically not dealing with the homeowner. You're dealing with GCs.
No. And interestingly, would actually be a really good company to deal with homeowners, believe it or not. Because
you would be.
Because the reality of it is most of the guys out there are just like, hey, where do you want whatever?
Yeah, where we pouring? Right there? Okay.
Okay, there. What? Done.
Done.
Right? Even if it's completely wrong, right? It's just done. Give me my money. See you later. I did what you asked me to do.
Get them drawings away from me. Get them drawings away from me.
It's done, right?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is even with all of our, foundations we're putting in, when it comes to putting in the brick ledge, well, the drawings are like done a certain way. Assumptions are being made on where finished grade is going to be. So the brick ledges set out on the drawings, well, here's where all the steps are going to be. When we're on site, we actually look at all of those and see what's happening with the brick ledges. 9 times out of 10, they're wrong. 9 times out of 10, they're either too low, too high, something's,
and who's making that
something's
mistake?
Fucked up.
The architect.
And it's not even necessarily a mistake because they have to make certain assumptions. It's, they more or less know the elevations on the property, but they're making certain assumptions. There are, and I saw one, was it last year or 2 years ago? Last year, in the spring, we poured a house. There was another house close by that was being poured. Another company came in, slammed the foundation out, left. A couple days later, we found out the foundation was about a foot and change too low. The entire foundation was too low. So they called the concrete company back. Hey, guys, what happened with the foundation? Blah, 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 blah. Well, they said, what do the drawings say? That's exactly what's there. So now go fuck yourself because it was on the drawings. It's like, you fucking assholes knew that the foundation was too low. Anybody could see it was too low. But apparently somebody, probably tried to make a phone call and the builder didn't answer the phone or whoever didn't answer the phone.
Or they just wanted to move forward.
And these guys are like, we got to finish this foundation. We got like 15 more in front of us. We got to move. We got to be out of here tomorrow. We got to be back here to strip and we're gone, right? So what did they end up doing? They end up having to build up the foundation and block.
Oh my God.
That foot. Wow.
Because someone didn't open their mouth and correct it. For us, we're debugging everything as we go along. And if brick ledges need to be adjusted, we go, hey, these brick ledges need to be adjusted. We bust out the drawings, the main drawings everybody's working off of, pull out a pen, write on the drawings what the adjustments are on all the brick ledges. Then the project manager, whoever our client is, has to sign every single change that's on the drawings. And then we take pictures of the drawings and then we keep digital copies of that.
So what is the potential problem there in the future with that block? Cracking? Splitting?
Block, the bottom line is it's block. Somebody paid for there's nothing wrong with block in my opinion. Concrete is better in a whole bunch of ways, but then there's those that can argue that block is better in a whole bunch of other ways. So I'm
concrete block but laid properly, reinforced and poured in.
Right, which at the end of the day practically becomes like if you're filling all the blocks solid and just firing rebar through them,
solid.
It becomes solid. It's pretty much a concrete wall at that point, right? But sometimes just because of access, doing concrete forming is impossible. You guys know in Toronto, man, some of these tight spaces. Oh, I want to put an addition back here.
Oh, fuck.
It's
excavating,
1,500 square feet or something. By the
Yeah.
time they finish to get the forms back there, the guys carrying them and stuff.
Do you guys-
It makes more sense to do block or do ICF.
Yeah.
Do you guys use metal forms or you guys build your own wood forms?
We don't build our own. We have wood forms that are your typical Advance as a company, but it's like a thick plywood. It's like 1 inch thick wooden form that go into cages that do the buckles and stuff on them. Typical thing, which is kind of used in the industry in our area and in many areas. I would love to make the change from what we're using now to aluminum. Forms.
Is that new? I think I saw that at Concrete Expo
They've
last
been
year.
around forever.
Okay.
Used commercially forever.
I used to
They've been
use
around
steel.
forever, right?
Yeah.
So, but the bottom line is the finish on them is fantastic. Taken care of, they last an entire career, like 30 years.
As long as they're cleaned.
They got to be, like anything, even ours. If you don't clean them, if you don't oil them, if you don't do all
but
that
wood-
and take care of them, they're going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Wood veneer forming actually has an expiration date. You can only do so many of them.
Well, it depends on how they're taken care of.
Yeah,
a lousy
after every
crew
job.
dropping them on their corners and throwing them around like tomorrow can destroy $100,000.
And those are the most
forms
important
like nothing.
parts where they join. That's where the overlap will occur.
The bottom line is like anything, whether it be a Sawzall or a form,
Anything.
if you don't look after it, you're going to fuck it up and you're going to replacing it prematurely. So
Well, that brings up a great point there, George. What kind of tools do you...
Dum, dum,
dum, dum, dum.
This is your theme.
We use a bunch of different ones actually.
But primarily speaking, which brand do you...
Dum, dum, dum.
What do we have the most of kicking around? I'm gonna say Bosch.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. I'm gonna
That's
say
okay.
Bosch.
I actually like Bosch. When we were at the project with you, he had me there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't bring any of your tools here. I want you to try and give it a chance.
But what
I love them.
But what I
did.
like
Yeah.
about his crew is that you guys actually use these tools.
Oh, we destroy them.
You kill them.
The abuse. Like look at the bit. We're down in holes underwater. Like the stuff we do to our tools is just unbelievable. Now we've got some stuff. We've got some Kita kicking around, which we
Nice.
quite like. We've got
One of my favorite.
You guys
We've
are
got-
European after all.
We've got Impact. We've got Impact. Oh no, wait, sorry, it's not Makita. Which are the green ones?
Makita.
Is it
Oh no,
Makita?
Metabo.
No,
No?
it's Makita.
Makita's a teal blue.
It's
or
blue,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
Bluish
man.
green.
Now you've got me confused.
Teal
Well, Bosch in Portugal is green.
is green.
This is going to really irritate me. Look at this.
No,
I'm
and
on
I'm
my
not even Portuguese.
I'm even going on my phone. I'm embarrassed that I
the
don't even know
green
this
is
right now.
Metabo. Green is Metabo.
No, it's not. It's not Metabo. Although their stuff apparently is fantastic.
It is. It's definitely not red like Hilti or anything like that.
Wait a second.
Yeah,
It's all personal preference. It's all a joke at the end
it's
of the day.
Makita.
Makita.
So the thing I have to say about the Makita stuff that we've got, the impacts and all that, like I will look at some of this stuff, it'll be kicking around. It's like, does that work?
it just looks destroyed.
That can't possibly work. Like it's been buried, completely immersed in concrete. It's been like everything that you can think of that can happen to it in the rain and the this and the that charges the batteries. Like just the abuse is just absolutely unbelievable. We've got stuff kicking around that's 4 and 5 years old. It still works.
It should be because it's making you guys
Stuff
money.
that's 15 years
Yeah,
old.
but it still works. It still works. But I think
For
depending
all
on
you
the
sponsors out there.
I actually think that almost everyone out there makes good quality
They
tools.
make great tools.
That's
There's
the bottom
bad tools
line.
and there's good tools and everything.
Yeah, there are some companies. Milwaukee is an example. They've done a fantastic job of just like.
I love
name
their
it,
accessories.
They
They've
make
got
it.
so many accessories.
Like if you're a plumber, that stuff's the bomb.
Yeah, you're totally right. All my plumbing tools
you're
are
a Milwaukee guy.
yeah, you're a total Milwaukee.
But
guy.
if you're concrete, you're a Bosch and Makita guy.
Hilti.
yeah,
I don't think you're going to see a lot
It's
of
a
yellow.
possession.
I'm sorry, but you won't see yellow. You might see Hilti, but Hilti's more commercial. hardcore, the condo
Well, there's a new
guys.
residential line now come out.
Oh, really? For babies? Is that what it is?
I don't get anything for free, so
I think a lot of it boils down to you have to do the math on how much is the thing costing you and what are you doing with
Exactly.
is it making you money? That's the
Correct.
most important
So the
part.
bottom line is it making you money, right? So we found the Bosch stuff. One of the things that I really love about Bosch is it's the company. Like
Bosch-age.
whatever we've needed from Bosch, like their replacement program, like what they're putting on the
servicing,
all of
something
that,
gone
like
wrong.
as a company, they just get it done. Like their reps, they just get it done. There's no excuses. There's no BS. They just get it done.
This guy, I slept over his place. He had a onesie. It said Bosch.
Carlito's never slept over my place, and I do not have a Bosch onesie.
Hey, but if you find a Bosch onesie, I'll wear it. Just know that. I'm in. I'll wear it next time I'm on.
Bosch, are you listening?
You part German?
George, I got to ask you. So, how old is your oldest employee, and how young is your youngest employee?
I couldn't give you exact
In and
ages,
around.
but I'm going to say probably our oldest is 60 plus.
60 plus and
Love
still
it.
doing concrete work.
The
and,
guys,
and he's
the
a
guys,
machine.
the guys that are all the guys that we have that are older could like crush any 35-year-old.
Wow.
I believe it too.
Amazing to hear.
And
Yeah.
how young
Like
of a guy?
I'm scared of.
That's
all
a
of them.
challenge for all the younger
They've
people.
got. I got to tell you guys a quick one. I ordered, like some rep came along and said, hey man, you guys, blah, 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 we sell work gloves and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, some of the guys are asking for work gloves and stuff. Yeah, let's, the little like white knit guys or whatever I always wear. Yeah, you know what are you guys selling? I didn't even care about the cost. It was just like, that the guys need good gloves, we're going to get them good gloves. End of story, right? So bring me like a whole cross section of your stuff, blah, 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 looking for this and that, and bring me all the sizes, the whole bit.
Make sure they're cotton.
Well, they weren't cotton. They were sort of, gloves. Are you a large? Are you an extra large? None of them fit the old guys. The old guys have all got fingers like cucumbers.
Sausage.
So seriously, the only thing that'll fit their hands is those like cotton knit gloves. But seriously, those guys, if one of those guys were to grab onto you just with one hand, you'd never shake them loose.
Holy cow.
Like, it's unbelievable. The strength that they've got. And you'd look at something and go, man.
Sure, they're
You
handling rebar, concrete
You look
all
like
day, gravel.
you've been having a couple of beers and you got a little, you got a pretty nice big punch on you right there. Don't piss the guy off.
No, that's just gonna you don't rattle the bear.
No, because these guys are they're the nicest, hardworking, devoted guys. They just every day come to work, bring a lunch, don't complain about anything, and just get it done. And occasionally, when they do complain about something, they whine a little bit, but everybody does.
They whine all the time.
But it's justifiable at that age. It's justifiable.
Yeah, and probably our youngest is probably I'm going to say probably mid-20s.
Really?
Yeah.
In concrete.
They don't. They generally speaking, they don't last very long. Millennials tend to come in the door. And
That
they're
was
gone.
my next question. Is that
And what is it? What is it that's pushing them away?
Their parents.
Is that what it is?
Their parents totally fuck everything up.
What the parents
Every
doing?
parent out there listening, you're fucking up your kids so large it isn't
You're
even
telling
funny.
them that they deserve to be doing a better job, more
Stop
money.
giving your kids money. Stop giving them a bed to sleep in. Stop doing their laundry. Stop buying them. Stop paying their cell phone bills. You're paying Johnny's cell phone bill. You're paying Johnny's cell phone bill,
I'm in agreement.
and then Johnny's going out and buying a bag of weed, right?
And is there anything wrong with that?
No, but my point
No,
is,
I get
for
what
as
you're
long
saying.
as parents are coddling kids, as soon as they go out there and things are a little bit tough, they don't have to worry.
Johnny needs to eat out of the garbage can.
No, you're totally
needs,
right.
Johnny needs a mortgage and a couple of kids, and then all of a sudden everything changes.
Yes.
Well, it's not even that. You need drive. It's almost impossible to just give someone drive.
And
like either you have it or you don't.
And you're certainly not going to get that drive if you don't
Everything
really
is-
ever have to push hard on
No,
anything.
exactly.
Right?
Like for me, I'd rather buy a tool than a bag of wheat. That bag of wheat isn't going to make me any more money. It's
No.
going to be giving me a bad lung. I'm going to have to go buy something.
It's funny you're bringing this
Yeah.
up because we were actually talking about this earlier about weed and smoking, and we'll probably tackle that on a different podcast. But do you guys have that millennial problem? You have that millennial problem.
Man, you know what? I don't want to take a big giant paint roller and like on all the millennials because that wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't.
That wouldn't be fair because there's a lot of millennials out there who actually
Amazing
like
ones, yeah.
amazing,
They work
work
hard.
hard the whole bit,
Yes.
and they deserve it. They're out
Yes.
there working hard. But then I
high
can't remember. I
average,
think it
though.
was like 2016. We hired a zillion of them. At the end of 2016, there were exactly 0 left.
Wow.
We have guys, they come in on interviews, they're gung-ho, I've done that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, look, you have a good attitude, we're going to give you a try or whatever. They don't even show up the first day. We get those guys. Then we get the guys who can't get to work in the morning, right?
They don't realize that there's 2 6s in a day.
Wait a second. We had this conversation. Why don't you show up 5 minutes early, not 5 minutes late?
But they don't want to show up, right? That's the problem.
That's the problem. And why would they have to?
They got everything given to them by parents.
But you're
All the
paying
parents-
good money though. You're paying a good wage. I guess it's too hard compared to they're probably asking their friends what they're doing for a living, and maybe they got some nice cushy office job doing this or that.
Generally speaking, the cushy office job pays less.
It does.
Because every single person that I know who falls into that kind of, almost all of them under age 30, unless they've got like a sales gig or something, generally speaking, they're making shit money. Because at the beginning of your career, you're actually being, in an office job, you're making shit money, but you're still being overpaid because generally speaking, you don't know anything. In the middle of the career, you get work like a
Sales
dog
reps
once you know
are making
something,
a lot
and
of
then
money.
technically you're underpaid, right? And then if you make it upper management, then you get paid large.
But you're also spending a big chunk of your salary for the upkeep on the persona.
All of it, all the clothes. All
I need
this,
to go
all
out.
the
I
blah,
need
blah,
to wear
blah.
this. I need to do that.
Totally. My son got a job working downtown, an insurance company, and I said, your biggest challenge is going to be not wanting to go to the bars after work and chase all the beautifully dressed women who work all downtown. If you really want, if you want something, if your parents are covering all the bases for you, where's the incentive?
You're not driven.
Yeah.
We did a podcast with 2 millennials, and they kept on saying that over and over, that they're cushion. They have no motivation to actually go grab what they really
Why?
want.
Ma, what's for dinner?
Exactly.
What? Ma, what's for dinner? What
Exactly.
the hell? What are you talking about? Oh, hey, Mom, I'm looking for my blue shirt. Oh, it's in the laundry. I'll have it ready for you for tomorrow. What the fuck is all that about?
Do you also think there's a certain stigma attached that us as contractors, we get dirty and our clothes is dirty? They're dirty at the end of the day. That people look at us differently. They look.
Oh, for sure.
They look.
Yeah, I think that people do. The reality of it is all of us are judged. If I had walked in here wearing a tuxedo, you'd be looking at me like, what the fuck? Me thinking of me. Or if I was...
I'd be like, you got the wrong building.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Somebody pulls up in a Lexus, even an entry-level Lexus versus a top shelf Toyota. You're going to think this
You're gonna
person's a
judge.
little
Or how
more
about this?
upscale.
A Chevy versus a Sprint.
No. That brings up a good point, because what's funny is that when I'm driving, there's a lot of construction going on in Toronto right now, especially on the highways.
Yeah.
And I love driving by the construction sites. And you know how the guys always get prime parking spots
Yeah,
right
they park right off to the side usually.
I love driving by those job sites, and I'm seeing a C300 Mercedes. I'm seeing a 3 Series BMW. I'm seeing a Lexus fully loaded. And I'm like, these are contractors driving these vehicles. So obviously, to your point,
Diesel
no
pickups worth
mortgage,
80 grand,
no
like
mortgage, no kids, living at home, food for it, everything, but they have the fucking car to keep up the persona.
Well, Manny right now is basically wearing a tracksuit.
You're full of lies today, man.
Actually, I'm wearing a velour tracksuit.
He showed up in his pajamas.
No, but look, there's mud all over it.
So that becomes a challenge to find all these guys. And I guess when you do find a good guy, you hang on to him.
Yeah, I mean, look, these guys, we basically pay union.
You pay a great wage.
Union rates, union compensation,
Are
the
you
whole 9
union?
yards. We're not union.
Okay.
And I don't even think the union would even care about us because we're too small of a company.
But you give your guys benefits and pension?
Yeah, well, that's actually
Amazing.
that's
Good
all.
for you.
That's all coming into play right now. Actually, I'm hoping in the next by the beginning of January we'll have all
I
that
have
in
so
play.
much more respect for you. You care about your guys, the future of your guys. That's a company that's going to grow.
You have to pass it on.
But you know what?
have
The
to.
reality of it is everybody out there, we're so used to being convinced that, we've got healthcare, this, that, and the other already, blah, blah, blah. The reality of it is benefits. Even if you're just a small company out there right now, just know that it's only a matter of time. You won't be able to actually find any employees.
Yeah, it's sad.
Right?
I know.
And everyone is going to want to go to the union stream because they get all that comes with it, right? Now, union has its stuff that's like aspects of it that are, it's fantastic. And they have other aspects that really suck. What we do, because we could go union if we wanted to, but all we do is go, you know what? We're respectful of the union. We're not going to, we've got a boom truck, right? We got a crane. We're not going to start going to union sites and start moving forms, even though we actually could, because we're considered a delivery service and we're allowed to. But you know what? We're not going to do that. A union shop and their boom truck can get the work and they can go move the forms on a union site. We're very respectful of what unions do, but we also know that if we want to attract some talent, we have to be providing at least what the union provides, if not better.
And another thing too, you don't want your guys having no teeth. I mean, that's the last thing.
Where is this? Where is
I'm
this
just
coming
saying,
from?
I've had employees and I paid them well. They could be making between $1,000 to $2,000 a week. They won't take that money to fix your teeth, but you give them benefits.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they got a good smile.
Oh yeah. Well, the reality of it is, you need to find ways to keep your people. You got to be able to train them.
You got to keep them happy.
Yeah, and if you're working in a segment of your market, let's say let's say I'm a plumber. If all the work that I'm going out and getting is sort of that drudge work where all the other plumbers that I'm competing against for work just run a shitty business, pay their guys under the table, everything is like just a shit show. If I'm going to go compete in that market, I'll never be able to charge the money to charge to run a respectful business.
Can you do the same story but with concrete now?
It's exactly the same
exactly the same.
That's no different.
You've got guys running around who are like doing cash with all their guys, everything boom, boom, boom underneath the tape, running around. Like we've seen prices just a little while ago. We had someone come to us and go, look, I got 5 prices. You guys were $120K. You guys weren't the most expensive. Somebody that gave me a fuck you price of $180K, which obviously didn't even want to do the job. Yeah. But I got a price of like $80,000 and I got another, and I'm just like, no, man, they're just the bullshit companies. You'll see, go ahead, hire them, no problem. But you're telling me you want to bring my price down? No, our price is our price.
There is no set price of construction.
Do it right.
But that's the primary reason that a client or a GC is going to come back at you and ask you to lower your price, right? Because
exactly. Those guys fuck up the market.
Exactly.
But I want to talk about that.
But what happened when this particular client, which is a client of ours now, we're working on his home right now, beautiful place in Oakville, and this person's in construction, which they were smart enough to then go and kind of grind at the other guys with the lower prices because
and find out
where they know where the guys will budge.
Not even a matter of budging. Well, guess what? The guy who had the price at like 80 and change $1,000, suddenly he's not available, and I didn't know about this and I didn't include that, and all the excuses start because they realize, man, I really fucked up. I threw a dart at this job when I threw out a number of 80K. It's really a $120,000 job.
All day.
We quote every job doing it right, to being able to pay our people right and run a proper business, stand behind the work that we do, etc. The guys who fall into that like lower bottom end area, they're just killing each other. It's like a race to the bottom, a race to
you don't want to compete.
They never see their wives and they never see their kids, and they're working. Oh man, it's the grind. I'm working.
But what I'm concerned about is
18 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's like, what's wrong with you?
It's the lack of safety that's going to happen as a result of that.
Yeah, the lack of safety is huge. As you kind of go down and you get into that grade of contractor type of thing, it's just a given that all the shit starts to fall apart everywhere, right?
And the unfortunate thing is safety is the number one thing to be thrown out the fucking window just to save coin.
And on that note, for the people who are responsible for safety in this province, in my opinion, get off your fucking ass and don't chase the easy targets. Go after all the little guys that are running around doing stuff that is absolutely insane. Don't just necessarily pull up to a site that's like obvious and there's a big contractor working and bust someone's balls because someone doesn't have a hard hat on. There are guys literally 4 doors down doing things that they should be in prison for.
Yeah,
and
with no permit.
No, nothing. And they don't pay any attention to them, seemingly pay no attention unless somebody phones and complains. I'm really happy when the safety guys show up on our site. We're always actually really happy to see them. We actually want them to find something.
You don't have anything to hide.
But we want them. It's like, okay, what did we do wrong? We want to know. We've never gotten a fine. We've never nothing, because as soon as if they find something that we're off on, they can see we're already doing 99% of it.
Your work atmosphere is super clean. So right off the bat, they know what they're dealing with.
Right. They tend to, we always pick up a little extra tidbit of information like, oh, we didn't know that. Okay, we're going to make sure we do that from now on. Again, there are the underground economy, all these guys that are running around, like they don't realize the smartest thing they can do is bring their game up 5, 6, 8, 10 notches. Yeah. Become a better contractor. Educate yourself. Communicate better. You'll make more money. You're not going to end up divorced.
Yeah.
Your kids aren't going to hate your guts. Like all these guys that are killing themselves, like they're never home. They're always stressed out. It's like because you're
juggling.
Right.
Juggling time, juggling money.
You don't have time for to spend time with your wife. You don't have time to spend with your kids. You're missing their soccer games. It's insane.
That goes back.
Somebody's going to tell you that. That goes back to running a business. How if you run the business properly and you set it up properly and you do everything properly, you could actually find time for your personal life. So you're not consumed by 12-hour work days. That's not necessary. You don't need to.
Yeah.
But George, tell us, like, if a kid, like, I don't want to beat up on the millennials. I don't. It's just, but I mean, if a kid wants to get into concrete, because in all fairness, concrete is one of the hardest trades out there.
Oh, yeah, it's tough.
Concrete, bricklaying, roofing.
Rebar tying.
These are one of the hardest
Form
trades
building.
out there, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, how do you convince these kids? It's not convince. How do you let these kids find the passion in concrete? How do we do that? How do we speak to them a certain way? How do we educate them? How do we do that? I want to,
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel that in concrete, we've got a big problem in that it is one of the toughest trades. It pays really well. You get your winters off. You don't have to even bother collecting unemployment because you've made enough money the rest of the month that you can just take 4 months off. 3-4 months, do nothing.
If you're good with money.
If you're good with money. If you're a loser with money, then there's no helping you no matter
Bag
how
of
much dough
weed.
you make.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you started this whole podcast with, I just came back from my vacations. I started it. All the things you were saying was you work 40 hours, no more, have vacation time, benefits and pension. You're saying all the right things.
Yeah,
This isn't a successful business.
I work 10 hours a week, and I do it most of the time for my dog.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I never wait for my phone to ring. I phone people. If every
Wow.
business owner there understood that, if your phone is ringing off the hook,
That is absolutely brilliant.
You are totally fucking up. You are
Why wait
running,
for the phone call?
No,
You're-
well, no, it's simple.
Are
You-
you really waiting for your phone to fucking ring to find out X or ABC or when's that's ready or whatever? Get on the goddamn phone
and get
Or
the
common
answer.
sense, yeah.
And get the answer.
I refer it as to lob the ball over the net. Let's take tennis, okay? Before they can lob the ball at you, or if they lob it at you, immediately, like right away, answer the phone, return the email, the text, whatever. Get on it right away, lob it back.
Okay.
And if you can reach out to them in advance and say, hey man, blah, blah, blah is coming up or whatever, I just want to confirm, or we're looking for the 15th, right? Like we're going to be, right now, based on the schedule, it says the 15th, 2 weeks from now. You're good. You can come in and start tiling.
I love it.
Right?
I love it.
Yeah. Hey,
Where's the job? You haven't even sent me the address.
I can be there for sure. I'll be there. This is the way I used to do it. 4 or 5 days later, I'd call again. Hey, we're just looking for the 15th, right? Oh, yeah, that's right, 15th. I would continue doing that. The second there'd be any kind of an adjustment or a change in the schedule, I would let them know immediately, right? Like right away. But the bottom line was, guess why all my jobs always finished up on time and on schedule? Like why everything don't budget?
Because you're ahead of it.
Because, right, I was always ahead of it. Before anybody could make my phone ring, send me an email, send me a text, whatever, I'd smash at them and get the answers and let them know what the fuck was going on. I'd be like, okay, so everything's always well organized. If your phone is ringing off the hook,
And you're not answering.
You're
oh,
reacting.
if you're not answering, go find another job. Like, if you're not answering the fucking phone, why are you even in the business? Because you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, you're afraid to answer calls because you're fucking up all over the place. If your phone actually isn't ringing, but you're still doing a lot of communicating, then you're doing it the right way. You got to do it proactively, not reactively. Reactively, you're always someone's bitch. It's so
Love
simple.
it. It's so
But how
true.
many how
It
many
is so
how
true.
many people don't get this? They do not get this. Send them a million emails, call them, text messages. You don't get a response out of them, and they wonder why their life's a shit show. It's like you can't even answer the fucking phone.
I'm working for a homeowner right now. I told them I was going to call them a week from today, say.
Yeah.
I called them a week from today.
Yeah, and they
Like-
were probably astounded.
And he's like, I didn't think you were going to call.
Yeah.
And I was like, why wouldn't you think that? And there's like, the other guys don't even answer their phone.
You bring up a good point, George. How do you feel about cell phone use on the job site and cigarette smoking on the job
I was
site?
about to ask that.
To me, phones should, like an employee when they're working, needs to be engaged in what they're doing. I don't even like radios on a job site. To me, music shouldn't even be on a
No,
job
because
site.
you need to communicate.
You need to communicate. You need to be engaged in what you're doing. I watched somebody many, many years ago while the radio was blaring in a site, somebody screaming at a guy using a chop saw, yelling at him because he noticed that he was about to cut his fucking fingers off, screamed at him. He didn't hear fuck all because a meter, like literally a meter from his head was this radio that was blaring, and he lost, I think it was 2 or 3 of his fingers. Cut him off. No radio. That taught me such a huge lesson. Radios do not belong on job sites. Sorry, everybody who disagrees with me, you're fucking wrong.
No, I agree with
It's a
you.
safety
No, I agree
thing.
with you.
It's a safety thing. Why don't you just put earmuffs on so you can't hear anything around you? It's the same thing
That's
half the
dangerous.
time.
That's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't have music on a job site. Everybody enjoys it. I enjoy it. When I'm working up at the cottage, do I have music on half the time? Most of the time I do. In reality, on a safe work site, and people are supposed to be communicating with one another, from a safety perspective, it's often better not to have music blaring.
I noticed that there's some companies coming out with hard hats that have integrated two-way radio, so you can actually communicate.
Yeah.
You're not yelling
Yeah, man,
with
3M.
and
that's,
stuff
sign
like
me
that.
up. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
they've been
that's
around for a
brilliant.
while.
Yeah.
Landscapers for years have been running around with something.
Which is great.
I have a pair of 3M ones.
What about smoking?
Smoking, no, you're going to love this one. We flat out know smoking is illegal on a work site.
Do you smoke?
No,
Perfect.
So all your employees are not allowed to smoke on your job sites.
but they do.
but they do. So
in the whole, like, it's different for us because we're like, it's actually not different. Okay. No one is smoking on a job site. Now you guys are going to find this hilarious, but this is just a fact. I'm the guy freaking out all the time saying nobody can smoke. And Marco and all my guys look at me and go, so what are we going to do for employees? What do you mean? It's like, no one will work for us. Because all these guys have been used to having a butt hanging over their mouth while they're putting up forms for their entire career.
ashes into the concrete.
The moment you tell them they can't, and even though it's like, we can't, it's impossible for us to actually, well, it's not impossible. We could, but we'd be out of business. Believe it or not, smoking could actually put us out of business.
So what do you guys do?
Hang on, it gets better. Thankfully, at least we have like a full-on no weed policy at work, flat out.
That's another touchy subject of mine.
We were just
that I-
talking about that. It's funny you say that.
The bottom line is this. Last time I checked, it's pretty much not fucking cool for me to walk around with a beer in my pouch while I'm working.
No.
Would anybody do that?
No. I'd kick you off the site.
Like, am I supposed to be making, I love gin and tonics in the summer. Should I be making myself a gin and tonic?
I'm getting thirsty.
I want a gin and tonic while I'm at work. That's not cool. Oh,
No.
But it's okay to be, there are a lot of companies, a lot of people out there that are smoking weed while they're working and they think
They're
it's
not
no
allowed.
big
Wait,
deal.
in
Right, but they're
construction?
doing it. In construction.
Really?
Forming companies, man, it's,
They need to leave. You need to fire them right away.
well, they don't work for us.
Yeah.
End of story.
But
Like,
in
you
the
get
industry in
caught-
general, they are smoking weed.
Why would I want to trust
It's
someone
a huge
around me
problem.
that's high?
I believe it's a huge problem in construction overall, in the trades. I think now it's become legalized. Everyone's thinking, what's the big deal? It's weed. It's like, man, it's not. It's altering your state of mind.
It's the equivalent to alcohol, and if you wouldn't drink alcohol while you're on a construction site and you're operating machinery, working beside people
A lot of
who
old
operate
guys do, though.
then you shouldn't be doing smoking weed. So then, are you telling me that you're taking the same mindset for smoking then?
The problem with the smoking, well, smoking isn't getting you high, technically.
It's an addiction.
No,
It's
but
an
it is an addiction.
It's an addiction, and secondhand smoke is, a guy working next to you.
Dangerous.
Well, it is kind
It's
of getting you
dangerous.
high because it's changing your endorphins. It's giving you
Well,
different.
Yeah,
That's
but
receptions,
compared to
right?
smoking a joint, right?
It's different.
Compared to smoking some weed or having a beer or whatever on the job site, it's different, right? The bottom line is this: if it alters your state of mind and creates a situation
Your
where
focus.
all that kind of fun stuff, that's kind of not cool. You want to smoke weed? Smoke weed when you get home, but at work, man, that shouldn't be happening. But apparently, and I wish I could remember the statistics, someone did a giant study on this just a little while ago. Like, it was a fairly big one, a research study, and there was like the number of folks that were smoking up before they went to work and were high at work. The percentage was huge.
I believe it.
I was just like, what? Are you kidding me?
The moment you told them don't do it at work, they do it before work starts, on their lunch break, and after work.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that the people that are doing this, it's like, you're just fucking your life up, man. This doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you putting yourself in this position where you could hurt yourself, hurt someone else, kill someone, or kill yourself? Right? Let's start with just that obvious thing, problem, issue.
Yeah.
Let's change the joint for a sandwich.
Then obesity becomes a problem.
But it's a serious concern.
What about the individuals that cry, I've got anxiety and I need this to kind of help me get through my day?
Here's the therapist number.
I think it's never happened, but if somebody came to us with that, it'd be like, okay, where's your doctor's note? And then we would take that.
Where's the assessment?
And then we would call like the labor people, right? And say, hey, labor people, we have an employee that came to us with the following, blah, blah, blah. Is this legal? That's what it boils down
It's
to.
not. You can't drive high.
So if the reality of it is, if those folks said, we don't give a shit about the note, they can't, then we would just say, sorry, we can't. So if you have anxiety and you can't be here, then I guess you got to go. I don't know. We'd have to go down that path and
it's
figure out.
on you as a business owner now that if the Ministry of Labor, whatever, shows up on your job site and an employee actually has been smoking weed,
Oh, yeah.
then you guys are fucked.
There's so little personal accountability. It's just ridiculous. Something goes sideways and you're a
Insane.
business owner, you're fucked.
Insane.
Well,
Somebody dies on your job site.
yeah, I was just about to get to that.
Because of that?
For
You're done.
whatever reason, God
Yeah.
help you as a business owner.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't realize that. They got guys doing insane things in every trade. It's like, you understand that if that guy falls off that roof and you're the business owner and falls to his death, let's start with, do you really want to stand in front of his wife and kids and let them know that their dad isn't coming home? Then follow that up with, wait till the lawyers start on top of you. Like, buddy, you just lost your business and potentially lost your home. Your career, as you know it as a business owner, is fucked. You're finished. Start over. Everything you've been working for. Why are you doing this? Oh, because I want to be part of that shitty 25% of contractors. Elevate your game, man. elevate your safety, charge more, become a better contractor, chase the market that'll pay you for good work. If everybody did that and there was no like gray market of bullshit people doing work,
Construction would be perfect.
Construction would be fair.
Yeah, it would be fair. No such thing as perfect.
Yeah,
but
construction
it
would be fair. Back to the smoking.
No, we can't stop them from smoking.
So they smoke.
Yeah, not everybody smokes. Some of the guys do.
But as a business owner, doesn't it bother you that each smoke break is on average 10 minutes long, and all of a sudden you have 5 cigarettes during the day? You almost got an hour's worth of lost wages.
I find, I mean, that's kind of, I see that almost as a cost of doing business. The reality of it is, I think, and Marco, who runs production for us, be the better guy to ask. He could probably give you a more definitive sort of answer on this. But most of the guys who are grabbing a smoke, they're not stopping.
They're going.
They're going.
Yeah.
They
They're
eat their
lighting
sandwich,
up a
they
butt.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And half the time, guys never even take breaks anyway. Like, generally speaking, it's sort of, I know when I was renovating and stuff and I had a bunch of employees, I'd tell people, listen, lunches and breaks, whenever you want. I don't care. They're not structured. Whatever you want.
So
you
tell
work
us
straight
what-
through,
tell-
you just get paid.
Tell us what your day's like. What time the guys at the yard, what time they start on the site, what time they take their breaks, what time they take their lunch, how long their lunch, the day that ends.
Depending on where we're working will depend on what time the crew will get to the yard. We're
When the
working in
concrete's being
Oakville,
poured.
down the street. It's not a big deal. If it's a later start because the concrete comes till 9 and it's ready to go, everybody can show up late. So the variables are all over the place. There's no set thing. And also a lot of it, for example, like breaks and lunch, it's like, okay, wait a second. The concrete, the last truck or the second last truck just left waiting for more truck. It hasn't shown up yet. Everybody, it's going to be 15, 20 minutes. Take a break. Grab a sandwich, grab whatever. The truck shows up, man, we're on.
The crew
But
knows that. They know how to balance that.
when the concrete's live, when that shit is live, then it's like live.
You
man.
hustle.
Yeah, there's no
You
joke
hustle.
around.
There's no, it's break time. Fuck you, it's break time. Right now it's concrete time. Everybody
Yeah.
knows that. It's
Grab
time
a
to
shovel.
go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Now it's hustle time. Let's get this done.
The other thing I was really impressed with you guys and your crew is that when a problem arose, you guys solved. You proactive. You actually figured it out. So there was a problem on one of our job sites, but you guys solved it. You called me, you discussed it, you figured it out. The next day there was a solution. It moved forward and the job kept on going. You guys solved it. You didn't run away from it. And that's huge for me.
That's a great construction company.
That's huge for me.
And a lot of, if you're the kind of company that does something and you fucked up and your answer is just to run, A, you're a dirtbag.
Yes.
Think about it for a second. Do you want that to happen to you? I mean, some people, just their ethics, their standards by which they work, is just so questionable. And unfortunately, like the car business, I know people in the car business that are amazing human beings. They would never take a nickel from anyone. Car business has a terrible. I mean, I think it's equally as bad as contractors, right?
Horrible.
Yeah.
And that's because you get a percentage of the industry that is just horrible.
Saturated
That bottom
with crap.
25, 30, 40%, which they're just awful human beings and shouldn't be working in the industry.
Yeah.
Construction, get rid of most of them and establish standards, not just let anybody who can walk into Home Depot with $50 and buy a hammer and a pouch and they're ready to go.
Well, you can even buy my hammer with $50.
Yeah, it's true.
So can I ask you
I'm
something?
showing my age. A quality hammer now is hundreds of dollars.
I want to talk more about you, not about business.
Yeah.
What does your company do? Everything that your company does.
Everything that we do. So concrete forming for custom homes. So foundations. We do all our own footings. We insist we do our own footings. If anybody says, hey,
So you do your own framing.
We do our own forming for the
framing,
footings.
yeah.
We pour our own footings. We do all our own steel work. Walls are all us. Everything is all us. We provide we try to make it so that it's from start to finish, because if you're a GC or if you're a builder, the last thing you want is you're responsible for, you got to get me the wood and you got to get your carpenters to form
That's
the footings
missing.
and all
That
this
wasn't
and
done.
Blah, blah. We try as much as we possibly can to encompass everything into a package that makes sense. Right? We have moved in the direction, and we're going to stay there, of doing high-end work. The builders and the GCs who want a company they can work with that isn't going to make them insane, that they can trust to do it right, and if they fuck up, they're going to fix it, they call us.
You do garages?
Yeah, if it's concrete, we can
Swimming
do it.
pools?
No,
Stamped concrete?
no,
Any leveling of any kind?
no.
Okay. Where if someone's looking for someone to pour their foundation, where do we reach you?
DGR Concrete Forming. Just Google it, like everybody does these
It'll
days.
come up. That's the same handle on Instagram.
Yeah, it's same thing on it. And actually, we don't even have a website anymore. We do. If you go to dgrconcreteforming.com, it just redirects you to Instagram.
Because you get more information on Instagram.
Exactly. Instagram is like, hey man, this stuff that's going down. It's right there. Boom, boom, boom. Website for us very quickly became like, this is, even if you have it automatically updating with this here, this there. It's like pretty much like a static waste of time. That's another thing. Any contractors out there who haven't embraced social media, get your shit together on that one, because that's super important.
Yeah, totally.
People need to be able to see your shit. So you want to get the best clients when you do good work, when you just do work in general. Anything that will interest someone considering hiring you, put it on Instagram.
Where does all your work come from?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, I was about to say.
Primarily word of mouth.
You don't go to like
ton of it came from
foundations where
Instagram.
you pay them $50, they find you a job.
No,
nothing like that.
No,
Just word of mouth.
Primarily it's all word of mouth. We're fortunate, and there's the demand for concrete forming is huge. It certainly outstrips supply.
Well, the demand for good concrete forming and concrete work is huge, because we've all seen our horror stories, right?
Well, you get usually, we've got a lot of builders that we'll work with where they first, they call, they sometimes not play the tough guy, but like, I'm looking for somebody, trying to angle, I'm going to get a better price, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be competing against other people. And usually after you chat with them for a little bit, they let their guard down a bit and realize that we're not a bunch of dinks. They divulge how much they've hated the last 3 concrete companies they've worked with. And the last guy stole his pickup truck and, blah, 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 ran off with his wife. It's just,
holy cow.
I mean, I'm exaggerating obviously, but they've all got some insane horror story to tell, it seems, of just, and you just kind of go, what do you mean they didn't come back? Yeah, they just left.
Do you do demolition of your own concrete?
No.
Or like say you take a project on, you have to bust out a slab. Will you do that? No?
Generally speaking, no. We leave that to the people who are just really good at doing that stuff, right?
Okay.
We try to focus on sort of surgical in, surgical out. And having said that, a lot of the stuff that we do takes time to do because none of it is straightforward. Like we don't do production forming. We don't go in.
Custom. Custom means custom.
Yeah. So production forming, for anybody out there who doesn't know what that looks like, literally a crew will come in, strip the forms from the pour the day before, form a house, pour the house one day. Come back the next morning, strip the forms off of the one they poured the day before.
If it's ready, yeah.
Well, it's ready.
Yeah.
Overnight, strip those off, repeat in the house right next door. And they just go from hole to hole to hole to hole. So if you're on a crew of 4 or 5 guys, for example, Manny here, his job may be, okay, Manny, on all these houses, you're in charge from this point over here, because they're all fucking the same. There's like 4 models, right? You're in charge from like, the edge of where the front porch is on the foundation to the far side of the garage. That's what you have to do. Yeah. And then another guy in your crew is responsible for something else and so on and so forth. So what it does is, if you slack off and slow down, because you got to pour that day. The concrete's coming.
You're messing the assembly line.
The concrete's coming, man. Like it's ordered. It's got to be buttoned up. So if you don't do your shit, like those guys in production forming work like animals, absolute animals. So we stay away from that and we focus more on, we're not here to pump out quantity. We're here to pump out quality. So when framers love us because 99.99% of the time, they bust out the laser and they go put their sill plates down and they go, wow,
boom.
I don't have to shim fuck all.
Ready to rock.
Everything's in like a couple of millimeters and around the entire building where it's supposed to be. That's what we focus on.
We know that DGR is not perfect, but where do you see DGR 10 years from now? I mean, you'll be chilling out a lot and you'll be handing over the reins to other boys.
I think I'll probably, look, once you're in construction, you're in it forever.
Isn't that true, huh?
I'm always going to be fucking around with something. And like, no matter what, if I'm not destroying something at my place, there's always something going on. But I mean, the question is going to be, and this is one of the reasons why we're moving in towards ICF, is because the labor problems, the labor shortages are so intense that we're not going to stop doing the traditional forming we do now because we're just really, really good at it. But in order to grow the business, we have to actually move in a direction where we don't need the same kind of skilled employees. So we're moving into ICF.
IntegrSpec.
ICF.
Remember that.
Yeah, isn't, you got to give me the details on that. Isn't as labor intensive. It's easier to train people.
But even ICF is changing. They're talking about now instead of, so most houses that you'll do, the foundation will stop at 4 feet above, 2 feet above grade level, sometimes not even, right? Now we're going to be carrying ICF and pouring all the way to the second,
doing that right to
floor
under roof.
To the roof.
Under roof, yeah.
I know. It blows my mind.
Which is thermal break, which is mass, which is fire resistant.
I'm doing the first job that we're doing is actually a garage at my cottage.
In ICF?
In ICF, right to the underside of the roof.
Can I ask you what system you're using?
Ceilings. Nudura.
Okay. And why are you using them? That's the green one, right?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it was the
Most
first.
builders use
it
that.
was the first company that we bumped into and had conversations with. And to be honest, it's that whole thing of answering your phone. Which company was more sort of boom, 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 boom? When we inquired, they responded. When we needed answers to something, they gave us the answers. We needed to have a meeting in our office. They showed up from the New Jersey rep from head office.
That's all it takes, man.
Yeah, and it's just
all
like,
it takes.
well, and it's so true in business.
Very
overall,
much true in
right?
business.
So,
if you
so-
treat your employees that way and they answer the phone that way as well, and they take care of it, and your other suppliers are like that, then who are you going to do business with? You're going to do business with the people that want to answer the phone.
Number one killer, man. It's communicate. If you don't communicate, if you don't reply to stuff, if you don't reply to every text, every email, and everything, your life is fucked up. Go on vacation and figure out what's wrong with your existence that you can't even return a message. Because your life becomes so much easier when you reply to stuff.
It does. We got to wrap this
Yeah.
up.
Well,
We've been
I got
blabbing for a
two
while.
quick
We have
questions.
Oh my
wrap
God,
it
there's
up.
more questions.
I
Now
got
what?
two quick questions. I'm going to try to make it fast because Manny hates this. Basically, okay, so one thing I like about Manny is Manny doesn't do the typical thing. He tries to reinvent the wheel, tries to bring new products in.
Yeah,
what does
totally.
your company do differently than other concrete companies? And what other products do you use that other people don't or maybe are going to change?
I don't think that we necessarily use different products. We made an attempt last year at getting into fiberglass rebar as an example.
You didn't like it?
No, it wasn't a matter we didn't like it. We couldn't, we reached out to everybody at the concrete show and the whole bit and like, yeah, man, no, absolutely. We had one company who actually came out to our office, had a great meeting. And they said, okay, as soon as you guys have a job that you want to flip over into fiberglass, let us know because we do a lot of high-end.
And what is that? I don't know this fiberglass rebar. I've never even heard
imagine
of it.
a piece of rebar that's steel, except it's made of fiberglass. 10 mil, right?
Okay.
10 M rebar. Instead of being steel, it's fiberglass. Insanely strong, super light. Doesn't
What's the
corrode.
life expectancy of that?
Forever.
Same?
Longer.
Well, because fiberglass breaks down still.
Longer. This stuff
like-
stuff will last
is-
longer than steel.
And it won't crack.
So it won't corrode. No.
Is
It's
it-
rated there. This is what MTO is putting in bridges now.
I guess,
Stowing in the bridges.
I guess this is kind of like carbon fiber, like a
No,
mentality.
it's
of-
literally. Now, I'm sure there are different grades of fiberglass. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert on this.
It's not a Corvette that you're putting into car.
What about
concrete?
No,
hemp
but
rebar?
and what?
Hemp rebar.
Rebar. Hey, listen, if it could actually work, I think it'd be a great idea
You know,
because the
the-
stuff just basically a weed the way it grows, right?
Okay, so next question, because
Yeah.
we got to wrap it up.
Okay, so one last question. What do you guys do for your vacation for your guys?
Oh, he has a huge event.
I mean,
No,
well,
but
yeah.
like every year, like Christmas or just holidays in general.
In general, what it boils down to is anybody in the company just kind of needs some time off or something. They just kind of take it. I mean, we keep track of kind of vacation time, but the bottom line is we shut down at Christmas like everybody else, and we keep the guys busy. Some of the guys busy during the wintertime doing odds and ends and stuff. But the reality of it is everyone's got a bunch of time off when the winter comes. By default, they end up with a whole bunch of time off. So vacation isn't that big of a deal with us.
Marco, one of his guys, right? He went on vacation, I think, to Portugal.
Yeah.
And he just posted a bunch of pictures of concrete pours that were going on while he was
I know,
there.
it's pretty funny. I'm
That's
like,
wicked. That
I'm
means he
like,
loves his job.
You went to Portugal and you're pouring concrete. It's like, what is going on here?
If you could
I
change
love
one
that.
thing in construction, what would you do?
Get rid of cash.
Wow.
The cash contractors.
Get rid of cash. No cash.
I know.
No cash.
It should. That's it. Eliminate cash. It should all be paper
I
trail.
think it should be two things. Get rid of cash, number one.
Keep it honest.
And the Construction Lien Act, so the 10% holdback, that's the law, should be applied, but it should be kept in the equivalent of like a trust account that a lawyer would have. You know, when you buy a house and blah, 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 and money gets moved into a lawyer's trust account, that 10% holdback, any monies that are being like, stuff should have to be paid, but paid into a trust account, let's say that the government holds.
I like that idea.
Not-
It's
That's a good
brilliant.
idea.
Not being held by the client. Because the reality of it is then litigation can be used as a weapon against you. You did nothing wrong,
It's true.
right? If the money is sitting, and can't be accessed without a huge ordeal by the client who had to put it over there, there's more likely to be proper justice. Too many people, fortunately, we don't run into this very often. It's very, very unusual. Too many contractors get fucked over so hard not having done anything wrong, but the client perceives that they're just the most evil human beings in the world. And I just sit
Well,
there
we
and
only
go,
hear the bad stories.
And it
right?
always
my God.
happens at
It
the
is-
end.
It's just like,
Always happens at
Jesus
the end.
Christ, it always
I know.
happens at the very end, right? And then them trying to get their money, and the client's looking at it going, well, I got 19 grand of your money, and it's going to cost you 40 grand to take me to court. So
That's the reality.
God.
so the reality of it is
someone's out of business.
The threat, a small company, you
You're
look
done.
what you just did to them,
You're
Yeah.
done.
right?
You're done.
So the threat of litigation skews the ability for some people to just do business in an honest and straightforward way.
Yeah.
So get rid of cash and change that system up a bit, and it would clean up a lot.
This has been a
Whoa.
very
Oh,
good
no, it's
show.
not. There's one more thing.
Oh, you got something else?
Big shout out to Skylux
Oh,
Roofing
wow.
for always allowing us to
Our
enjoy
home.
his space.
Our home.
There we go.
He's not just a flat roofing company, and I'm doing this from my heart because he's giving us so much. This
Thank
is a
you,
guy
Mark.
that wants
It was
to
great.
change
Thank
the
you.
industry,
Skylux.
and we love him to death. Please, if you need any siding or aluminum work,
Anything
or
to
flat
roof,
roofing,
metal work,
please
everything
call
getting
Skylux.
into.
Ask for Mark.
And George, thank
Yeah,
you
man.
very much for your time. Thank
Anytime,
you
man.
very much for your knowledge.
Absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant.
I'm
show.
never coming back because you're
You know what?
gonna make me sing.
You know what the funny part is?
I'm gonna start practicing.
Usually Manny takes off with his onesie and his his
No,
sprinter.
no.
And I sit in the parking lot and talk for another hour.
All right, Carlito, get us out of here.
All
That's
right.
it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, George. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank
a
you.
great show about concrete.
Yo, straight from TO, baby. 416, yeah.
Oh my god. You guys are insane.
Out of here.